these rainbow beings. The rainbow bows to you, dear ones, bows to your gathering, bows to the leap of faith which you have taken. Your species has difficulty with the non-visible. This is a work of art that lights your way. And we are grateful that you have opened a space for this light to produce such beauty as you are capable of envisioning.
Thank you.
Mm.
Can you tell us about the shifts that are occurring, the shifts in what we might call consciousness that are occurring right now?
The sparkle. We
Yes.
see this, and perhaps some of you join us in this apprehension of sparkle. Sparkle. These are the embers, the openings, the flickerings of light, of a profound light. The light itself in your world is changing. You experience this in terms of phenomena. We, however, see this as light, as apprehensions of movement in light. As the phenomena change, grow, divide, move, metamorphosize into varying forms, you feel this as what you call change, because you have the time space matrix through which your bodies must apprehend light. As the light grows, becomes intense, and wanes, both directions, any direction, a full multitude of directions, you experience change. We do not judge the directions. We see the display. And we find it fascinating. For this is who we are. You, dear ones, in an experience of separation, may feel that you are, at its worst, victimized, at its best, joyful. But you all engage in this relationship with light. And the quality of that relation is determined by your own relation to the phenomena around you. This is the plan. This is your syllabus. This is your life work, is to engage with light through the density of these forms in this incarnation. The rest is up to you. The how, the why, the where, the who, all of that is for you to determine. And you have determined. It is just that in this incarnation, you are no longer in touch with that determination which you yourselves have made, which is as it should be, as it is. That is the agreement, the covenant for your incarnation. The highs and lows of emotion, this is your work. This is all within your organism. This is all within your reach. That is by design. The exteriority that you often perceive of phenomena happening to you is an error. However, that error may be part of your path, for you must work through this victimhood, your neighborhood. There is a yay-borhood. This is where we meet. You, here. And where you may meet with yourselves through your own connectivity in your own forms, the belonging, the sense of oneness is your, shall we say, divine right. It is a natural, for the natural is divine, right. And for many of you, this becomes a rite of passage to understand the intimacy which you maintain with Source and light. For light is but a manifestation of Source, as you are as well.
I'd like to ask two questions. One is very practical. One is very abstract. Maybe I will start with this abstract question, which is I'm reading about a woman who the idea of it is that she that people attract dead souls and they carry these dead souls around with them. I'm not entirely in agreement with this book, but I wonder, can you talk to us about these, what people in quantum healing would call riders or attachments?
Mm-hmm. This manifests in your cultures, some of your cultures, as vampires, as parasites.
Yes.
These are parasites. We invite you to consider the word, the parasite. This is a site which is parallel to your own. We ask you to consider this in order to remove the judgment. A mother and child. The child is a parasite when that child is growing within the mother. And the mother has willingly entered into that relation with the parasite. And as a parasite, you may have an image of a ship in space, a spaceship, if you will, which has attached to it another ship. which can be released at the appropriate time for further exploration.
Mm.
This notion of parasite is natural. This dynamic of evolution, you have encountered this with virus. The virus. Carl has mentioned the COVID virus, which you as a species have just come through. A true parasite, a truly healthy organism, will not destroy its host.
Mm.
For then the parasite too shall be destroyed. We are aware of paths that are taken and end in a dead end. In other words, evolution is always experimenting.
Mm.
There are always new questions, new forays. This is part of the joy in the process, the unknown, encountering the unknown.
Mm.
Should you, as a human form, enter into an agreement, much like a mother, to enjoin a parasite, this is your path. You hold these beings, souls. We question the notion of dead and soul in one sentence. Nonetheless, you have chosen, much as your Mary figure in Christianity, to hold a child in each arm. It is your decision, it is your path to consider when that child is grown enough to put her down.
Mm.
And allow her to walk away. Is this sufficient?
Perhaps you could say only this. Is it
Mm,
appropriate in a
mm,
process to
mm,
remove such attractions? So, for example,
mm,
one may have clients that feel as if they are not in control of their habits, for example.
mm.
And once the removal has occurred, they appear no longer to have those habits. Is it appropriate, these removals?
Yes, most definitely. The most looming consideration is the agency of your client.
Hmm.
For your client must, we say must, ideally, your client must be fully engaged to the best possible limits
Hmm.
of their understanding in this process.
Hmm.
Now, where the difficulties may ensue is when the client has not done their shadow work.
Hmm.
And that darkness, which we venture is a dark mess, has not been explored to the degree that they can willingly consent. Does this make sense? So these attachments, and they are simply attachments, much the same way as you may be attached to a cup of coffee in the morning.
Hmm.
We wish to demystify this notion of possession and
Hmm.
exorcism.
Hmm.
These operations of the psyche are all very much available for exploration. And you, dear Dave, are tasked with the awareness and the task of using your awareness at all levels, at every level, to determine the trajectory, if you will, the capabilities of your clients. You work with them. They may or may not be ready at that precise moment to even face this burden that they are carrying. There are so many overlays in your human species with shame, guilt, conflict. There are so many lenses through which phenomena are apprehended. Fear is perhaps most prominent. It is the fear, we advise, which is best approached initially. And the approach towards fear is acceptance, compassion, love, and most of all, faith in the potential of your species, of you, each of you, as an individual. Does this help?
Yes, very much so.
Good.
The only other question, and this will be my last, is just about the promotion of the channel. Is there something else that we should be doing? I want to get this information out to as many people as possible. Is there something or we can do?
It has begun. It has begun. You have begun to work with this channel, all of you. We shall report our channel, for we are pleased. The opening is perfected. The only remaining task is to work with the flow. The doors have been opened. That energy is pouring through this door. For all of you now in this group, you are now testaments. You are now gatekeepers. You are now shepherds and stewards. There is a pasture before you. We see this as a field of light, of connectivity, the sparkles that we now share with you have been apprehended. There shall be connections that shall ensue from here forward, backward, up and down. Your task now is merely to step with integrity, step with authenticity. We have discussed with this one the importance of comments, commenting, and the nature of community. There is a commitment. Comment. And we simply welcome your abilities to connect. At bottom, it is all rather simple. These complications are not our provenance. You are welcome to indulge. But the simplicity of the venture is what shall sustain your communion. There are technical aspects for sure. This is why we have called you, Dave. And she, this vessel, she will speak, ask, you shall speak, all of you in this group. Whatever comes up, and it will, positively, you have set the stage. There is no controversy. There is no ill will. There is no friction. And we are glad, happy, and supportive. This is a pure opening. And so long as it maintains the purity of intent, love, we shall be here with you to assure your health and well-being. Simply maintain your fellowship. This is what we ask as a steady note which informs everything that you do together. Thank you.
Thank you.
We wait for others. The content is vast.
Yes, it is. Is it appropriate then, as there are no other questions, to ask about, and it's okay if it's not?
Certainly, in the spirit, there is so much to understand in relation to spirit and the teasing out of prurient interests from the light which encompasses all. We have nothing specific to highlight with regard to your guests. You may trust that for whatever reason, as you put it in your world, this person has appeared and asks to participate is indeed valid. Each person may not necessarily remain, but nonetheless, their imprint And the ways in which you engage with this person lead to effects which you, dear ones, can never know. These sparkles are contagious. They proliferate beyond your dimension and form embers in varying realms. Those embers then grow, and that light in itself begins to reseed in other realms and dimensions. It is a beautiful and wondrous display. So we offer that you consider this as play. You have asked a playmate to join. And in the spirit of joining into your play, for you, dear ones, have created the ground, this playground. There are basic rules which you all understand. No biting, kicking. And the beauty of this encounter is that you are well versed. This is how you have come together. We have drawn you. Imagine the tent, the point, the center pole, which joins the spokes that uphold the roof. In other cultures, this is known as the wheel. Tent, wheel. So ask, invite, bring others into your fold. They will come and they will go. And in going, they will exit. You perceive as an exit with gifts of light, support. We honor this. Generosity of spirit. And should you encounter the weak, the fearful, the agendas of others' dark mess, you too shall uplift, offer, shed light, perhaps insight into their own heart, mind operations. And this is where the work becomes work. For you, and you in particular, Dave, may have to endure the muck. But that muck, yes.
Please carry on.
That muck is envisioned as mud. You have many stories of lotus born of mud. The generative aspect of mud, of dark mess. We enjoy this dark mess, Darkness through her has a nuance of othering, which renders the agent helpless to some degree. This helplessness is a bane for your existence, for you are never helpless. And should you feel helpless, that is a sign. Your awareness is telling you something is amiss. Your darkness is not born of external forces. This darkness is a dark mess. Within and without, these differentiations become mute. But it is important to own, face, and engage with the mess. For from your perspective, this mess may appear knotted, not well, not good, not productive, not supportive. All those knots. We suggest and offer that as with any knot, you loosen the bounds that hold tightly this tension can lead to disrepair. Breathe. Remember your posture in life, your calling, your mission, this mission for your group. Check and review that loosening will allow a disentanglement. And with that, you have space, beautiful, illustrative space. Be patient.
So,
This is
Carl, did you want to say something?
Yes, I have a question. We were talking earlier about this group, and I'd like to ask, did the members of this group come together by accident, or were we guided to come together?
Guided, my dears, guided. Guided,
Okay.
guided, guided, guided. Yes. This is the tent notion that we presented to you. We do not determine, however, we do set up a tent. And it is you who determine, shall I not enter this tent? For the tent may appear open-sided, it may appear to you as individual beings that you must actually raise the flap to enter, not knowing what is inside. For others of you, for this one in particular, the tent was wide open. And she simply stood at the pole. You all have different manifestations for the ways in which you connect. As it should be, as it is, this is the joy of creation. The multitude of approaches. But certainly, we have erected a tent. Yes.
Thank you.
Perhaps I can ask on a totally different subject. This is the subject of physical healing.
Mm.
I went to Europe with a severe knee problem, which I was fairly certain I was going to have an operation on. I was told beforehand by a gifted psychic that I would meet a person that I know in Hungary and that they would be able to heal it. And it worked. I am completely healed of all knee pain. And she did this through kinesthesiology.
Mm.
I'm curious to know about Spirit's perspective on this.
Pure energy, kinesthesia, kinetics. This is what you do. This is what we do with you. We speak often to this one of light, frequency, energy, vibrations. You are all well acquainted with movements of energy and blocks. What your friend has done, dear Dave, is to enable that knot to be disentangled. This is not a conscious process necessarily. For those who are practiced, there is no divide in the work between conscious and unconscious. And this is not necessarily better or worse. But there is certainly, at some level, there has been block, knot. Your body seeks to be well.
Mm.
You all have that in common. There is no form in the cosmos which does not seek wellness. This may sound didactic. Nonetheless, from our perspective, growth, well-being is the way.
Mm.
Stay in the way. Stay in this path. There may be certain habits. Those might be physical, they might be psychic, emotional, spiritual. We advise you, Dave, to be aware of your habits, for you want to maintain this beauty of feeling good on a basic physical level. There is a certain amount of responsibility involved in this and in those efforts. For you must buy food, drink. On a cautionary note, we advise you to no longer engage in processed sugar, bleached flour, excessive amounts of salt. The repercussions of what pass into and through your body, the material you place in your mouth, is but a denser manifestation of energies. The same clearing of energies that went into your knee is the same passage of energies when you eat, talk. Your conversations are food for your psyche. These are energetic flows through words, osmosis, photosynthesis, greens, vegetables. These are all energy sources. Your holistic appraisal of energy and all of its forms is useful for you to, and all of us as humans. We see you, we feel you as humans. We can do so, for we pass as energy through you, among you. There is a modicum of respect, which is not unwelcome, for that respect will aid all of us in the process of exchanging and maintaining energy. Is this useful?
Yes, very useful.
Very, very useful.
So one portion of this question is, at the same time I was able to cure the knees, I got on a water slide, and of course there's no protection. So I slipped and hit my tailbone. It's now been a month and it's still extremely painful. I had an awareness before it happened that something was going to happen, that perhaps I shouldn't do this. I wonder if you could tell me about the awareness beforehand, and is there a message in this accident, and if there anything I can do to alleviate the pain?
Your seat.
Yes.
This is your seat. Yes. Yes. You have developed a crack in your seat. There is an opportunity here for learning that you have noticed an awareness. We, through her, have learned you call this intuition. Intuition. We have spoken of this, of the continuum between intuition, inspiration, channeling, and psychic work. They all belong together, for all of you, psychic work begins with intuition. This has been perhaps a learning for you, Dave, that inward knowledge is important. Your response to that awareness may be calibrated as per the situation. In other words, there are a myriad of responses to that intuition. It could be, slow down. Let me climb this slide after I eat a banana. To fortify the potassium in your system so that as you fall, your muscles maintain the kinetic tone with which to hold and protect your skeletal structure. This crack, for we see a crack, has happened. This is your coccyx, your tailbone. Something to consider for the evolution of your species when you had tails. You have tales to tell. This is an opportunity for you, Dave, to gestate at your seat, to explore this crack in your tail. For as an organic-based being, you speak through your evolutionary lineage. There are many ways for you to explore this with your shaman background. We offer you the image of a long-tailed monkey. The tail is another appendage, useful for balance. Perhaps, Dave, you are being asked to examine your balance. Certainly, your knee plays a part. Now, your tail. We think this is loud enough.
Great, thank you.